Just Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host, Fondue. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about Mac and Cheese Day.
Did we miss it?
Of course we did.
Aw.
We're going to talk about the world's most expensive mac and cheese.
Ooh la la.
We're going to talk about the Cheese and Macaroni Club from the 90s.
Ooh.
We're going to talk about crayon colors.
Crayons.
And we're going to tell a very cheesy joke.
Yeah, we are.
Stay tuned for Season 2, Episode 9 of Just Cheesy, the podcast. According to nationaltoday.com, National Mac and Cheese Day was July 14th.
And we missed it.
We sure did. And according to this website, mac and cheese goes back all the way to the 1300s.
Whoa.
The mac and cheese origins go all the way back to an Italian cookbook called
Oh, boy.
Liber de Coquina,
Oh, it never gets old.
which featured a dish of Parmesan and pasta.
Yum.
We talk about this in our Season 1, Episode 7.
Oh, that's right.
Because if you recall,
Yeah.
most people think of mac and cheese as the yellow stuff in a box that Kraft makes since 1937.
Ah, yes.
Wikipedia tells us that macaroni and cheese was included in a 1769 book called The Experienced English Housekeeper.
Okay.
Raffauld recipe calls for bechamel sauce and cheddar cheese.
Ooh.
The 1784 recipe sounds a lot like today.
Okay.
It calls for boiling the noodles, adding heavy cream,
Ooh.
a knob of butter,
A knob.
and cooked 5 minutes before being transferred to a dish and topped with toasted Parmesan and pepper.
Yum.
In our earlier episode, we talked about a recipe from the 1824 cookbook called The Virginia Housewife.
All right.
But prior to that, President Thomas Jefferson and his slave James Hemings encountered macaroni in Paris and brought the recipe back to the United States.
Okay.
According to this article, it says that Jefferson drew a sketch of the pasta
Okay.
and wrote detailed notes on the extrusion process.
Wow.
He commissioned the ambassador to France to purchase a machine for making it,
Really?
but evidently it wasn't suitable to him,
Huh.
and he later imported both macaroni and Parmesan for his dish in Monticello.
Okay.
And I found something kind of interesting when looking up Great Britain and the United States when it came to macaroni.
Okay.
According to mentalfloss.com,
Mhm.
in an article by Erica O'Krent
What is it?
called Why Did Yankee Doodle Call a Feather Macaroni? Many of you may be familiar with the song.
Yankee Doodle went to
Yep,
town
that's the
riding
one.
on a pony.
Cheesy.
Stuck a feather in his cap
Cheesy.
and called
Okay,
it
cheesy. We got it.
Macaroni. Yeah.
Well, apparently, the song has absolutely nothing to do with macaroni and cheese.
What? No.
Yankee Doodle was not always the proud, patriotic song that we know today.
It isn't?
Apparently, it wasn't ever really very patriotic.
Really?
It was sung by the British, and it was basically to mock the American colonials who fought alongside them during the French and Indian War.
Ah.
A doodle was something essentially considered like a fool.
Oh, no.
Or a Yankee Doodle was kind of like what you would say today is a local yokel,
Aw.
essentially a slang term of its day.
Wow.
The term macaroni goes back to the 18th century.
Huh.
So young men in Britain who had money would spend some time in Europe
Wow.
doing things that they called the grand tour. So
Okay.
they would learn art and history and language and become cultured.
Okay.
When they returned to England, they brought back what they considered outlandish, high fashion clothing
Oh.
and mannerisms and taste for exotic Italian dishes like macaroni.
Oh, yeah. Macaroni.
The group was pretty big and noticeable enough to get their own nickname, and they were called Macaroni.
Of course.
Yankee Doodle, being the, as they say here, the bumbling bumpkin that he was,
Aw.
tried to imitate the latest British style.
Of course.
But they said he embarrassed himself by sticking a feather in his cap
Aw.
and somehow thought that made him high fashion or macaroni.
Yeah.
Thus the words, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni.
Wow.
Macaroni and cheese, not a sponsor.
Nope.
But when they are, their ad will go right here. Before we go on, don't forget we're running a secret word contest.
Oh, yeah.
Listen for the secret word in this week or last week's episode, and you can win nail polish scented like Velveeta cheese.
Ew.
So cheesy, can you guess the most expensive mac and cheese?
$100.
Nope, higher.
$200.
Higher.
$3?
$5,000.
What? Why?
On a webpage called MrBeastFandom.com,
Okay.
they talk about a video where Mr. Beast ate mac and cheese that cost $5,000.
Holy cow.
Now, technically, mac and cheese wouldn't cost that much,
Right.
but they sent someone to Norway to get live Norwegian red king crab, and another person was sent to Italy to get
Okay.
$4,000 worth of mushrooms.
Wow.
It said here that they rented a restaurant to eat the mac and cheese.
A whole restaurant.
And they wouldn't let anybody in, but for compensation, they'd give anybody who showed up at the restaurant $1,000 each.
Holy cow.
He even had a video where he had ice cream that was worth
Gee
$100,000.
whiz.
Ice cream took $100 to make.
Wow.
South American chocolate made from bars, which cost $500 each.
Ugh.
Japanese strawberries topped in $20,000 99-year-old grape juice. Miniature candied peaches at $500 a piece.
Oh my gosh.
$50 wild huckleberry sauce.
Oh,
$3,000 caramel.
goodness.
And butterscotch made with $45,000
Oh.
50-year-old apple juice.
Holy cow.
Did you know that in the 1990s, Kraft Macaroni and Cheese wanted to become Kraft Cheese and Macaroni?
Really?
No, but they created a club just for kids called the Cheese and Macaroni Club.
Okay.
According to the commercial I watched on YouTube, it said
Okay.
for $2.95 plus 2 proofs of purchase, you could get a painter's cap, Day-Glo shoelaces,
Day-Glo shoelaces.
and there were fun games. And according to eBay, there was a digital watch,
A watch?
a special bowl
Oh.
that looked like macaroni and cheese, and it looks like they teamed up with Crayola at some point,
Really?
and they had a box that you could color
Wow.
called the Doodle Noodles.
Aw.
And that takes me to Crayola. Did you know they make a color called macaroni and cheese for one of their crayons?
What? No
The
way.
crayon was introduced in 1993.
Okay.
It is obviously orange.
Right.
According to the website encyclocolorpedia.com, if you're interested in colors, the hexadecimal color code was FFBD88, and it's a light shade of orange.
Okay.
It's comprised of 100% red, 74.12% green, and 53.33% blue.
Really?
They talk about the hue and the saturation and the lightness, and the color has the approximate wavelength of 584.77.
Who knew? I'm ready for a joke fondue.
What style is a house made of macaroni?
I have no idea.
Arts and crafts. Get it? Arts and crafts. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Oh, that was so bad.
It's not bad. It's a little bit cheesy. Thanks for listening to Just Cheesy the Podcast, Season 2, Episode 9. Today's secret word is Colby.
Colby.
C-O-L-B-Y. Colby.
Colby. Stay cheesy, everybody.